Hello again, it's Arlene here from Pennies to Plenty, and I'm back today with another audio blog post. I guess you could call this a podcast in a way, since I'm recording several of these, but for now, I'll stick with audio blog post. I have one today that I think is really pertinent to the time. It's 22 things to do when your items aren't selling. And right now I'm recording this under lockdown. I wrote this post a few years ago, but the things that I recommend, I think, are pretty important for now when a lot of people are facing a downturn and just not selling as much, and we want to get sales going. So let's get started. It's a little bit of a long one. Bear with me. 22 things to do when your items aren't selling. Now, just about everyone who has sold online has faced the dreaded sales slump. You don't know what I mean. No cha-ching notification of a sale or an offer from eBay. No email from Poshmark saying, "Good news, your item was purchased." In fact, maybe an item hasn't left your hand in days. You wonder what's going on. Does the platform have a glitch and my items aren't showing up? Are everyone else's sales slow too? What can I do to get back on track? Because I want to make more sales. I completely understand how you feel. The summer was slow for me, and instead of running my mind in circles wondering why I was in a slump, I decided to write some tips on what to do when your items aren't selling. And even if you're not facing a sales slump right now, these tips may come in handy in the future if you need them. Tip number one is to wait it out. There's a season for everything, and that's true for online selling too. General trends point towards summer as a common time for a slowdown in sales. People go on vacation and spend time off the internet enjoying summer activities or time with children. Sales tend to pick up again in the fall as people gear up for the holidays. A lot of sales come in towards the winter months when people are buying presents, and then tend to slow off again in January when people are holding back on their spending. So patience can do wonders for just waiting it out during a slow period. Tip number two, review your prices. One of the biggest reasons for slow sales is that items are priced too high. How do you know if your prices are too high? You can check other listings of the same item, particularly sold listings. You'll see that sold listings are often sold for much less than available listings because prices are inflated at the start. And this is what I commonly see on Poshmark. Now, it's okay to keep your prices higher than average if you want, because you never know when someone will buy it at your listed price. Just know that it means you'll be less likely, or maybe it'll take longer to make those sales. How you should price also depends on the platform. On Poshmark, prices are inflated initially. I've heard it recommended that you should list items at about 30% above what you want to get for offers and as a sale. And I'll admit that the first time I went on Poshmark, I was surprised at how much things cost. It was definitely more than my local thrift store or curated secondhand store, given that Poshmark's image was a place for secondhand goods, and their commercials and advertisements say that you can get tons, like 75% off. So you'll see that prices are often much higher at the start than when sold on Poshmark versus a place like eBay. I don't think it's as inflated on eBay. On eBay, you'll see a recommended price when you put up each of your listings. And these are not always good recommendations. Sometimes they'll tell you something that you know is worth a lot, and it'll tell you to put it up for a few dollars. Don't follow that. But they base it on the price of previously sold items. So they're giving you some kind of suggestion. Whether you take it or not is up to you. For eBay auctions, if you start an auction at a high price, you may be less likely to get bids. People are more willing to bid if the start price is low enough and that it's clear it's under the real value of the item. If you're concerned about losing money on an item, you can set a reserve price so that the sale goes through only if it meets your minimum price. And this is a good way to test what you would get for the item. No matter what platform you're on, if you're lowering your prices to the average sold prices, that may cause you some losses, right? So if that's the case, then consider how much you're spending to obtain the item. Likely it's too much. Tip number 3 here, review what you are selling. Are you selling something that's in demand? Then, are you selling it on the right platform? Poshmark users tend to be more women than men, and I would venture to say that most of the women there are looking for fashionable in-season clothes and accessories. Now, this is changing as Poshmark broadens its user base and has more items available for sale. You'll see more demographics reached, but in general, it tends to be that there are young women on there looking for more fashionable in-season clothing. You'll find a wider variety of users on eBay because eBay sells all sorts of items, even antiques and cars. If you sell handmade items, Etsy may be your marketplace. So sell your items on the platform with the most potential buyers. As for the products themselves, consider if it's worth it to sell what you have or move on to selling another item. I find selling thrifted clothes to be good for light profits for me, but honestly, it would be difficult to replace my day job doing it. And clothes, maybe they're not the most optimal item to resell if you want to make big money. For some people, yes, they do make a lot, but for a lot of people, they don't make that much reselling used clothes. If you can identify other things that may sell well and you can get your hands on them, like high-end sneakers, or I heard of before onion goggles on Amazon, that may be worth doing. Something like designer bags, they may be really well worth it to sell if you can get your hands on them versus clothes. If you plan to stick with what you have, and I'm sticking with clothing, check that your items are in good condition. Buyers are more likely to buy things that are in good condition or new instead of things that have half the life left in them. Here's tip 4. This is for eBay now. Use the eBay best offer feature. On eBay, enable the best offer feature. That opens up more opportunity for you to make sales. People who wouldn't buy your item at the full listed price may make an offer that they're comfortable with. And sometimes those people provide reasonable offers. They may just want a few dollars off to cover shipping. I know a lot of sellers say they don't enable this feature because it leads to lowball offers. But if you can get past that feeling and get past some of the hesitation and frustration of getting lowball offers, you have more potential buyers coming to you. That's a good thing. Here's tip 5. Make an offer to potential buyers. Poshmark has a feature that allows potential buyers to bundle items. And when you see that someone has bundled a few of your items, leave a warm comment suggesting that he or she make an offer. You can make an offer to the person to get the negotiation started. However, I like to think of this sort of like salary negotiations. I prefer to have the potential buyer make the first offer so that I can gauge what they want to pay and I can make a counter offer to that. If I make the first offer and it's lower than what the potential buyer was actually thinking, then I'm probably going to lose out on potential profits. They're going to click yes, they want to buy it. What a great deal they got, whereas they would have paid more. And yes, I would lose out on potential profits. So I think it's great to make offers to potential buyers or open the conversation to let them make offers to you. Tip number 6, on eBay, schedule auction end times. On eBay, you can list auction times with set end times. Schedule the items to end on Sunday evenings. This is when people are home and have access to the internet. You want to avoid ending auctions on holiday weekends or during the middle of the night, sometimes even during the middle of the day when people are at work or busy. Pick a time that you know most people are going to be home. That tends to be Sunday evenings. Tip number 7, change your cover photos. One of the easiest ways to shake things up is to change the cover photos of your items. And that could mean switching around the photos you already have, finding a stock photo of the item if it's allowed, modeling the item yourself, or even, putting it in a different way. Say you did a flat lay before, now you want to hang it or put it on a body form. And another thing you could do is to accessorize them differently too. So for most non-clothes items, you may want to remove the background so that the item remains on white. eBay is big on using a plain white background, and I actually think plain backgrounds, very simple white or light color, they work really well. Make sure to have a photo of the item you're selling, especially if it's used. Stock photos are nice to see, but people want to see what they're really going to receive in the mail. And this is necessary for pricier, higher end items and items with no returns allowed, which is Poshmark. So if you're selling an item that's new with tag and you use all stock photos, that's wonderful, but people still want to see the actual item that you're going to send them. You'll be more likely to make sales that way, or people will ask for those photos. I'm working on changing up my listings too, and I have limited skills in photography and styling in general, so this area, I'll admit, is a struggle for me. I have a dress form, but honestly, I don't know how crazy I am about using it. I don't like having it in the house because I watched the movie Mannequin as a child and it was a little scary. So now I tend to think of body forms and mannequins in that way. But you got to do what's best for you and change up your cover photos in a way that you're comfortable with. Here's tip 8. Review your titles. In addition to pictures, titles are important because they lead a potential buyer to click on your listing. Titles directly affect the visibility of your listings in eBay search results and also in Google, because with SEO, search engine optimization, those words that you put in the title, they're going to come up if someone searches for that item in Google. So you want to make good use of the titles. All the spaces that you can, put something in, use it up. And what I like to put in there is something detailed and descriptive. I'll put the brand name, the style name if I know it. I'll add the size, maybe the color even, and sometimes I'll even put the condition. If it's new with tag, then I'd say NWT, so people know right away it's new with tag. I think Poshmark allows you to use 80 characters. Oh no, that's eBay. So eBay gives you a good amount, 80 characters. And Poshmark limits titles to 50 characters. Mercari only 40 characters. So you may not be able to use all the space. You may not be able to fit all the information you want in the space they give you, but just try to write the best you can, at least the brand and style name if you know it. Okay, here's tip 9. Update your item descriptions. Review your item descriptions and see if you can improve them at all. Perhaps you can add more detail about the condition, add additional measurements, or state the fabric content if you missed that. Think about how your items are described on retail sites and try to replicate that. If you have space in the listing, maybe share how you would style it, or let people know you're open to offers if you are. eBay gives you plenty of space for descriptions, as does Mercari. You can mention that you have over 1,000 satisfied buyers, or that you offer returns on eBay, or that satisfaction is guaranteed. Buyers will then feel more comfortable purchasing from you. Number 10, turn on your notifications. Double check that your notifications are turned on, because last month I missed a few questions from people because I didn't receive or didn't see the notifications to my phone. And once I realized that was happening, I checked my notifications were in order. I opened the apps regularly to make sure I wasn't missing anything. I think there were some glitches here and there, and that happens sometimes with Mercari and eBay. So that's why I like to open the apps once in a while to make sure that I've seen all the notifications, all the messages. I also now don't only turn on notifications, I also turn on emails so that more than likely if one way doesn't work, I will see it another way. I sometimes come across listings with unanswered questions on Poshmark, and a potential buyer won't buy if the questions are unanswered. So turn on those notifications so that you see if people are asking you questions or making comments. You don't want people thinking that you, the seller, you've disappeared, the item is no longer available, or that they may never receive the package if they do decide to buy it. Okay, here is tip number 11. Relist items as new listings. You might worry that making a new listing for your items will cause you to lose the likes that you have and your watch count. But if those people didn't buy it at your current price or even your sale prices, then those numbers don't really mean anything, right? So go ahead and make that new listing, because when you make a new listing on Poshmark, your item is going to be featured at the top of that brand's listing as just in. Your item will be featured in the feed of Poshers who follow that brand, Poshers who follow your feed, your listings. They're following you. They're going to see it. And I've also read that on eBay, creating a new listing versus relisting an old one affects its ranking in the listings. I'm not 100% sure that this is true. Still, I think you have nothing to lose if it's not selling at the price you want. Go ahead and get it relisted. Here's tip 12. List more items. If you're a small seller, you're less likely to sell and make big profits unless you lower prices below market value or you have something high in demand. And that's why Poshmark recommends having at least 10 items in your closet. I think honestly you need much more. There are PM sellers who sell tens or hundreds of items each week. How? They have lots of listing. I'm talking like over 1,000 listings in their closets and shops. If you want to make more frequent sales, then you're going to just need to have more items for people to buy, given that everything else is equal. Take advantage of listing promotions too. eBay provides 50 listings free a month and often has promotions allowing for more listings for free, usually 100 or 200 over the course of a few days. I like to take advantage of that and list as much as I can during those few days. Mercari has promotions as well. At the time that I wrote this, I saw promotions like listing a certain item, listing sweaters between Monday and Wednesday, and they'll offer 10% off the price of that item. So why not, right? List more when there are promotions going. Tip 13, try new platforms. There are so many platforms out there. I've used and I stick with Poshmark, eBay, Mercari. I've tried Tradesy. I've done the Craigslist thing from time to time or Nextdoor. There are also others like The RealReal, Etsy, local Facebook groups, Nextdoor. There's a lot out there, and each platform has different user demographics and may appeal more to you based on what you're selling and where you're selling it. Consider who's likely to buy your goods and choose the platform accordingly. You may even find that some platforms are easier or more fun for you to use. Here's tip 14. Establish yourself on a platform. No matter where you sell, it's important to give your buyers confidence in your ability to follow through providing a great product. A good profile is a strong component of that. Some platforms allow for adding a photo or logo, so try adding one if it's an option. Also, write something in your profile or on your about page. It could be something more personal or a general comment, such as you do same-day shipping. That lets people know you're established on the platform and you're serious about doing business. If you're new to eBay, people are going to be less likely to buy from you because you just joined and have zero feedback. You can try buying a few things first or simultaneously to your selling so that you can build positive feedback. Tip 15, review your shipping costs. You have the most control over shipping costs on eBay, where it can be calculated down to the ounce. And you have every shipping option available to you on eBay. So really you can charge any amount you want. In the past, I've balked at purchasing some items because I knew the shipping costs were too high for the items. Other times, I believe the seller to be losing out on profits by listing shipping costs too low. There's an ongoing debate over offering free shipping or charging it separately on eBay. This is also a debate on Mercari. Some people gravitate towards buying items with free shipping because all the costs are included, so it feels like they're getting a good deal. And Mercari has repeatedly said, offer free shipping because it generates more sales, even they say close to double. If you decide to offer free shipping, make sure you account for that when you calculate the lowest shipping cost, the lowest cost you would accept on an item. You don't want to accidentally pay to sell your item and also cover shipping and have to pay for that too. It's just going to cause you to lose out on more money. That's personally why I like to keep my shipping separate so that buyers know exactly how much they're paying for an item. and exactly how much they're paying for shipping. The buyer knows I'm not overcharging for either part of that. I also like it better for taxes and accounting and on the back end of things, figuring out profit, all of that kind of stuff. But ultimately, it's up to you on whether you want to give free shipping or not. The one other thing to consider on eBay is whether a flat rate box would be cheaper than paying for something by weight. Flat rate may work well depending on the size and weight of an item and how far it is to the destination. I almost always prefer to ship by weight, but you can do a calculation and see if maybe a flat rate box would work better. On Poshmark, it's very simple. Shipping cost is the same for all packages 5 pounds and under. And the cost right now, at the time of this recording, it's over $7, which I think is kind of pricey. So that cost can be a big deterrent in sales, particularly for low priced or low value items. And I've seen some sellers offer free shipping by discounting the price of an item by, say, $6 or $7, so that when someone comments they want to buy the item, they're more likely to buy it. They feel they've gotten free shipping. Okay, here is tip number 16. Optimize your listings for mobile devices. This isn't so much an issue on Poshmark and Mercari because those platforms were built for mobile first. This can be a problem on eBay because some sellers use templates with formatting and fonts that are really hard to read. Remember, spacing and easy to read fonts are helpful. When people are reading on mobile, you want 1 or 2 lines and then a space, 1 or 2 lines and then a space. Make it easy for people to read. And no matter which platform you use, photos need to be close up and clear because cell phone screens are fairly small. Okay, tip number 17 is to make your listings available to international buyers. This tip is specific to eBay. eBay has a global shipping program that takes the work out of shipping internationally. You send a sold item to a designated shipping center in the US, I think it's in Kentucky, and the eBay staff then handle it from there. To enable this, make sure the box allowing for international buyers is checked when you list the items. Some buyers have told me they don't like the global shipping program because it requires them to pay high customs taxes. It's cheaper if you send it directly to them. So if you don't offer the global shipping program as an option, you can note in your listing that you do offer international shipping, and you would just go ahead and calculate it yourself and send it off that way. Poshmark and Mercari, currently you can ship within the US to US buyers, or for Poshmark, if someone buys in Canada, you can ship within Canada. Tip number 18 is to aim for top seller status. No matter what platform you use, aim for top seller status. It takes some work to achieve this. On eBay, it requires sellers meet certain standards like you have to have next day shipping or better, and under a certain percentage of seller errors or buyer complaints. You also have to be willing to accept returns on your items. The benefits are good though. Top seller status on eBay means that you may pay less commission on sales. The status also gives you a top rated plus seal next to all your listings. On Poshmark, now we have ambassador status. It used to be suggested user or top seller, but now it's called ambassador status, and it results in you being featured more. You can be connected with other ambassadors. There are some other bonuses too. Honestly, I think the best thing about being a Poshmark ambassador is that when you tell people it, they know that you're a serious seller, that they can count on you to give good service. Tip number 19 is to promote yourself and your items. Promoting yourself and your listings, well, you should do it where and when you can. In my case, I have this blog, From Pennies to Plenty, to promote my Poshmark closet. I don't know that my blog has directly helped my sales. Nonetheless, there are other social media platforms and other ways that you can promote yourself. Poshmark says that promoting on social media such as Pinterest can and does increase sales. So here are some other examples. Post a picture of yourself packaging an item for shipping on Instagram, or tweet about a sale you're holding, or offer discounts to your social media followers. and see what happens. That kind of promotion doesn't cost anything to do because it's coming from yourself, it's coming from your social media accounts, but it can bring in sales. So give it a try. Here's tip number 20, share your own items. So this tip I previously wrote about joining share groups such as those found on Facebook, and I personally no longer advocate for joining those share groups. There's nothing wrong with them, I just don't think they're the best use of your time. Instead, if you're going to share items on Poshmark, your best time is spent sharing your own items. That's just the truth of it. Because when you share your items, people are going to see it, right? You're sharing to parties, you're sharing to your feed, and there's a 100% chance people are going to see your listings rather than if you're sharing to a share group or you're sharing other people's items, you just don't know that you're going to get those shares back 100% of the time. So that's why I don't think it's the best use of time. But if you also are looking for closets to share from and you come across one with a low number of shares, I think don't feel like you have to share that person's items because it's very likely you won't get return shares. If you come across a closet, that person has 0 community shares and you go ahead and share 10 or 20 of their items, how likely is it that they're going to share yours back? Not likely. And they likely at that point don't have that many followers either. So if they're sharing to their few followers, how many people are really seeing your listing? Not many. So that's why, again, I think it's totally worth it to share your own items. And then after that, go ahead and share from the community. Okay, here we are with tip number 21. Ask for a closet critique. It can be hard to open yourself up to criticism, even if it's constructive. I 100% agree with this. It's hard, but if you are willing, think of this as being in the best interest of your business. You can ask people in Facebook groups or other users on the platform if they'd be willing to look at your listings and provide some feedback. I would recommend getting a few critiques and looking for some common recommendations between them. You don't have to agree with everything or do everything that's suggested. But this might help you see the one thing you're missing that makes a big difference to your sales. If you get 5 people to critique your closet and they say, your pictures are too dark or you're missing some description about them, like, I don't know, their flaws or what fabric they're made out of, then you know that that's something to address. And that's not too critical, right? It's just something to fix about your listings and your closet. Here we are on tip number 22, the last one. Put your items on sale. If you have listings sitting for months and you just want to clear them out, try putting the items on sale or discounting them significantly. You may make pennies or even lose money, but you recoup what you can and you've gotten rid of the item. I've done this and taken losses for sure. It's part of learning to sell. It's part of figuring out what's going to sell well and what doesn't, because everyone has to learn. They start somewhere, and I know in the beginning I bought a bunch of things that I thought would sell well. Some of them have, some of them haven't. So when those things have just sat there for a while, then I discount them, put them on sale, hopefully get them sold. If they don't sell after that, then I just donate those goods and move on. I like to compare my experience selling online to that of being on a roller coaster. Sometimes it's fast and exciting and you make lots of sales, while other times it's slow moving and I'm just waiting for the good parts to come. Although it's important to accept that your sales will vary from time to time, it never hurts to try and improve them in whatever way you can. I am in the process of implementing a few of the strategies right now, especially because, like I said, we're in a lockdown. The economy is very likely uncertain, maybe in a downturn, and people are not buying as much. I would love to have my sales pick up, and I would love for your sales to pick up too. If you have any other tips to help beat some sales slumps, I'd like to hear it. Have you tried anything and it worked? Go ahead and share in the comments. And that's about it for now. That's the last of the tips. I'm so happy to be able to share this post with you finally in audio form. I hope you've learned a lot from it and it's given you some points, some things to think about doing for your closet to hopefully get sales. I will be back around with another audio post next time. Until then, bye.